The plan Trump is going to use to ultimately beat Jack Smith, it's been revealed all along.
About a deliberate effort from Donald Trump's legal team to pit federal judges against each other.
We're just going to underline it one more time. The idea is to create a traffic jam, and now CNN is writing articles basically supporting our premise that we've been telling you about.
All in an effort to avoid going to trial before Election Day.
For 6 months, but this one really clarifies it in one article.
And the Trump team hopes it will set off a chain reaction that could last past Election Day.
Welcome to Doug in Exile. This is where the happy patriots are. You know what would be a terrible show for me to put on a show and have no one watch it? No audience at all. That'd be terrible, but that's not what happened. What's great is I give you guys the news and you guys are there to watch it. And I'm just saying I'm very thankful for you. It takes care of my family in a big way with income. And of course, your subscriptions help. Most importantly is it gets the truth about Trump out. We're the anti-news. We're the other side. We're the side that the power structures in American culture do not want you to know about. So we're getting the truth out using our free speech. So thanks for all of you just for being there to watch. I appreciate it. Let's get to CNN. How Trump will seek to pit federal judges against each other to avoid trial. Pretty simple, right? By the way, they make it sound like this is all Trump's fault, like this is some kind of a plan, a scam. It's like they did it to themselves. It's not his fault that you guys came up with like 90 indictments across 5 different lawsuits during a campaign year. Guess what happens? You create a judicial car wreck in our legal system.
So right now, Trump is set to go to trial in New York in his hush money case at the end of March. That'll block out the calendar for him to be in trial as a criminal defendant late March to about mid-May.
CNN former President Donald Trump's lawyers see a major opportunity this week to use his criminal document mishandling case in Florida. That's Judge Aileen Cannon, the woman on the left there in the thumbnail, in Florida, to create an impasse on his calendar for the 2 federal judges overseeing his major criminal cases.
Then the calendar's open after that, and there are 2 federal cases that are vying for the possible places on that calendar. There's the possibility that that January 6th case in Washington, D.C. could get back into the hands of the trial court and could be headed to trial. And then, of course, his Florida documents case.
There you go. This is all strategy. It's coming out this week. Here we go. Judging his campaign and court calendar and playing his cases off one another is a key part of Trump's legal strategy. Good job, Einstein. Glad you're finally with us, CNN. You're almost as smart as a barely literate comic book artist. The ultimate goal, his team has said openly, is to prevent Trump from being tried in federal court before voters cast their ballots in the 2024 general election. Remember, this terrifies Democrats, people who claim to be pro-democracy, people who say that democracy is on the ballot. They actually fear that Trump is going to be in a general election, that you're going to be able to vote for him. That's their biggest fear. They want to stop that. And Trump wants you to vote on him instead of have the courts decide if he should be president or not. He believes in the will of the people. A primary aim for Trump's legal team, according to people familiar with the strategy, is to put the judge on D.C. overseeing the 2020 federal election obstruction case, Tanya Chutkan, that's the lady on the right, in a position where she can't start a trial before Election Day, which so far the strategy's working, guys. Trump is winning on this one.
Because that case is so complicated with classified documents that it might have to move again. So it would essentially elbow out any other trial if it just has a place in the calendar and gets moved along through the summer, so Trump would achieve his ultimate goal of not going to trial before the election.
Quote, meaning ice her.
Entire goal here is to ice her.
This said a person familiar with Trump's trial schedule strategy, quote, making it impossible for her to jam a trial down before the election by things that are out of her control. I like this strategy, guys. They're cutting the gloves off and it's time to get into the cage fight. Here we go. Chutkan set an initial trial date for March 4th. which is coming up in just a couple of days, which has been delayed indefinitely because of appeals. Yet if the Supreme Court returns to the case to Chutkan, that trial could be back on the calendar within a month or two. So that's coming down to the Supreme Court. One way to hamper Chutkan is to convince the judge in Florida, Aileen Cannon, thus her picture over there, to move Trump's Mar-a-Lago document mishandling trial from late May until summer.
Elbow out has a place in the calendar and gets moved along through the summer,
which I think they might be able to pull off. Then as summer approaches, the Mar-a-Lago case may require Judge Cannon to push the trial back again and again because of the legal complexities around classified documents.
Because that case is so complicated with classified documents
that still have to be worked out according to the people familiar with the case. So just to let you know, Aileen Cannon's case, the lady on the left down in Mar-a-Lago, where they found documents. They sent the FBI, they busted into Trump's house. They basically went to retrieve a document that made Biden and Clinton look bad and Obama look bad. Those documents are classified. So they have to be redacted and they have to be protected and they can't just show them to anyone. So her case is actually the hardest one to bring to trial. She's also the judge that is appointed by Trump. So she's the least Democrat Soros a communist Marxist influenced. Okay. She's actually the one that's most likely to be a normal judge. And so they're not able to get her to speed things up. And so she's the one case that Trump wants to have go first. They ended up having hers go before everyone else's because Chutkan's got delayed. Now, that's their fault. That's their fault. Whose fault is it that they brought up the Mar-a-Lago case in the first place and raided Trump's home with the FBI, which Merrick Garland, Christopher Wray, under Biden went and manipulated and unjustly did. They did not go and raid Biden's house. They raided Trump's house because he's a political candidate. Whose fault is that? It's the Democrats' fault. So this has always been Trump's team's plan to, if they're going to use all these lawsuits against him, he's just simply going to get them all to get tied up and, down there where the 405 and the 5 meet. He's going to have a giant traffic jam. That's a LA joke.
But if they take that case, you're looking probably at about a July trial back with Judge Chutkan. And really,
Trump has already asked the federal judges and state judge in a third criminal case he faces, the Georgia election subversion case. Yay, Fannie Willis, the gift that keeps on giving, to delay any trials until after the November election. Both federal judges, Chutkan and Cannon, have said no, but a gradually shifting calendar could be just as effective at shielding Trump from the other trials through the summer. Multiple sources familiar with the former president's legal strategy told CNN, basically, if any of these judges pull the trigger on an actual trial, like if Fannie Willis puts them on trial, it pushes all the others back, which could be Aileen Cannon's or Chutkan's case at J6 and Jack Smith. So that's good. Cannon has signaled a willingness in recent months to considering pushing back the date at the prosecutors and defense teams are engaged in a protracted court fight over access to evidence, classified records, and information from the far corners of the federal government that Cannon still has to resolve. Cannon is a Trump appointee in an area of Florida with many Trump voters in a potential jury pool. It's the only place where he has a chance of getting a fair trial. She drew bipartisan criticism in the legal world for how she handled an earlier part of the case.
I think in basketball, the term would be a moving pick, because the idea is that Trump will use his fairly simpatico judge so far in Mar-a-Lago, Judge Cannon, to move things a little, then a little more, then a little more. They'll block July, that's the hope, but then they will move it thereafter, later, after Judge Chutkan's already been sort of boxed out. That's the play here.
That has moved slowly to resolve the pre-trial issues. By the way, guys, it shows that she's the only one who is not being manipulated by the Biden administration. She's the only one that is not being pushed and supported and advocated by Jack Smith in a political way. So she's actually being legal, and it infuriates lawyers, all the leftist, Democrat, institutional people who are coming for your rights. They're coming to take your children away. They're coming to take your vote away. They're the ones that are stopping all of the laws on free speech. They want to, through the Eighth Amendment, give you unfair fines. They want to shut you down. They're also against the Second Amendment. They don't want your women and your daughters to be able to protect themselves. Get it? These are the bad guys, these lawyers, and this whole legal system that is now sees the greatest threat against their power is if Trump wins. That's why they're all trying to push Aileen Cannon out of the way in Florida. They're like, you're in the way of getting us Democrats to remove Trump from being democratically elected.
The defendant actually has to be there. But they talk to one another. Judge Cannon, though, is the big variable here because to all appearances, she now has a whole set of motions that could push things a little more. We'll know Friday. She has a scheduling hearing, and it's already pretty clear she's going to push it just on what she's done so far.
Judkins Court is an entirely different profile where the Washington, D.C. jury pool leans liberal and has convicted many January 6th rioters at trials, at their show trial. Remember, they let all the BLMers free. All BLMers get freed. In fact, Kamala Harris, some people were raising money to help pay their bond and their debt to society to help free them. And then J6, were not given a lawyer, they were put in solitary confinement, some of them for 6 months, some of them committed suicide, by the way. And they're like, nothing to see here. No injustice to see here. They committed suicide as if they were in a prison in Russia. Might have him on trial the day of the election. If she wants to do that, we might as well just make Trump president right now, one of the sources said. See, they're mad because they know he's going to be president. So that's why I'm just saying, I'm admitting the same thing that they're admitting, that this is one form of justice, is for Trump to avoid justice and have the people vote for him. And then to the Democrats, another form of justice is to run them through these court cases so they can take them off a ballot and not allow you to vote for them. I only want to ask you, which is more American, which is more just? To my audience out there, this includes Democrats. Which one sounds more democratic to you? For judges to remove Trump from the ballot and tying him up and throwing him in jail, or to allow the people to decide, even if they want to vote a felon into office? Which sounds more democratic to you? That's the battle at hand. That's the philosophies at hand. Trump often uses his court proceedings to draw attention to his prosecutions, calling them politically motivated. While he frequently makes campaign speeches outside courtrooms. If you're going to get him in a courtroom, why not make a They're mad that he's just using his voice. They're mad Trump has free speech. Trump isn't required to attend most pretrial hearings, and he isn't even required to be in the courtroom as a defendant after a trial begins. Why does CNN think that's even a point, you imbeciles? Quote, the special counsel seeks urgently to force President Trump into a months-long criminal trial at the height of campaign season, effectively sidelining him and preventing him from campaigning against the current president, unquote, Trump's lawyers recently wrote to the Supreme Court, which has his 2020 election case on hold as it looks at questions he raised around presidential immunity. Once again, Trump is going for immunity. He's saying, look, I can do whatever I want. I'm the president. I have immunity. Now, let the legal side argue that. If he does not have immunity, then they'll just go, look, you're allowed to be brought to trial. Okay, then the trial starts. By the way, if he does not have immunity, then I say after Biden gets out of office, we prosecute every member of Biden administration. We have to go after, and I mean politically, the way they're politically going after Trump. We have to politically go after Garland. We have to politically go after Christopher Wray, jail him. We have to politically go after Biden. And not just Biden in New York, but we have to prevent his children from being able to conduct business in New York, just like they did to Trump kids. We have to do everything they did to Trump, we have to do to them, because that has now become the definition of justice in America. So let's go. Let's go.
We'll know Friday. She has a scheduling hearing, and it's already pretty clear she's going to push it just on what she's done so far before even this whole set of motions came in last week. So she could go to about July, and that would encumber things if it stays there. And of course, it may well not stay there.
Critical hearing in Florida on Friday, while to the federal cases remain in limbo. Trump will first go on trial in late March in Manhattan in a fourth criminal case in which he's accused. They're just bringing on another case, guys. Got another one coming to cover. I'll spell it out when it comes. Here it comes. Another one in which he is accused of falsifying business records to cover up hush money payments to the adult film star Stormy Daniels to protect his 2016 presidential campaign. That trial could last into May, according to the judge on the case. And we say bring it because Trump will only get more popular. They only want to do the Stormy Daniels ones. It's the easiest one for a New York jury to actually win and get to stick to Trump. That's what they're hoping for. It's not going to work, guys. We're going to bring you the news. We're going to keep bringing you all these articles, any news that breaks. You subscribe here and you've got all of it covered. And I can't thank you guys enough for watching. Really, it warms my heart. You've made this the most successful job I've ever had in my life. Right now is because of you guys. I'm dug in exile. Rock over London.
Rock over London.
Rock over Chicago.
Rock on Chicago.
Mitsubishi, the word is getting around.